5 immersive worlds, 1 amazing theme park. Get ready to explore the all-new Universal Epic Universe, featuring the wizarding world of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, Super Nintendo World, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and Dark Universe. Epic Universe opens May 22nd at Universal Orlando Resort. Our universe will never be the same. Tickets and packages on sale now at universalorlando.com.
This is The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
Now, here's Frank Morano.
Well, first things first, I have 2 friends, Bridget Ryan and Diane Savino, who are wrapping up a European vacation, and then today, they've been all over Europe. Today they are in Budapest. And they've been to Vienna, they've been to Prague, they've been to Berlin, and today it is Budapest. I hope they stay in Europe in perpetuity. Not because I don't enjoy seeing them in the United States, but because that's the only time they're able to listen to this show live. So there you go. Hopefully, those of you in Europe are spreading the gospel of Moranoism and encouraging everybody on that fine continent to listen live as often as possible. Now, I am quite excited because there is nothing that says fun. There's nothing that says holiday season. There's nothing that says smiling and all things related to teeth than the opportunity to chat with Jeffrey Gurian. If you've not heard Jeffrey Gurian, you're in for a treat because he's not only a comedy writer, a stand-up comic, a host of a lot of great comedy shows. He's an author, written many best-selling books. We're going to get into some of them in a bit. A producer, a director, and a very accomplished, I'm not joking here, dentist. Dentist, comedy writer. Do you know anyone else that does both? I don't. So we have to keep turning to Jeffrey since he's our lone dentist/comedian. Jeffrey, it's great to see you again. It's been too long.
It's been much too long, Frank. And who else would I stay up this late for?
I appreciate
There's nobody
that.
else. I used to hang out very late, but these days it's only for Frank Morano.
I appreciate that very much. Jeffrey, you obviously have a lot of experience in dentistry and in the world of comedy. Both of those things have been known to deal with drugs from time to time. Mm-hmm. You know, we were talking a little earlier about the whole marijuana debate, and one of the callers, David, brought up what I thought was such an interesting point, which is that for some reason, Americans want to get high. Whether it's alcohol, whether it's cannabis, whether it's heroin, fentanyl, you name it, people seem to have a significant interest in being in an altered state. What's that all about? You're always pretty good at nailing down the root cause of certain things. What's it all about, Alfie?
Well, it's the stress that we live under, first of all. And I attribute it a lot to sensitivity. And I talk about this a lot when I lecture, because people are a lot more sensitive than they want to admit. We're overwhelmed by things. And when you feel that way, when life is overwhelming, you don't know how to where to put it. You don't know how to handle things. People look for outlets. And they, drinking, well, there was prohibition. You know that my grandfather owned a nightclub, and I found out that my grandparents were arrested during Prohibition.
You kidding?
How cool
I
is
did
that?
not know that. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, my grandfather owned the Red Mill. And years later, when I met Milton Berle.
Where was it?
In the Bronx on Jerome Avenue. And it was a hot spot in the 40s. And years later, when I met Milton Berle, who sponsored me in the Friars Club, they all knew about the place, the old-time comics, the greats. They all knew my grandfather, Herman Kay.
Wow.
But people get high because they can't handle reality. Life is very stressful, and it's amazing that more people don't need help. I do a lot of work with 12-step people. It's a very powerful thing. As a matter of fact, tomorrow in the event that we'll be talking about, I was asked to perform on a show and do a panel about mental health and comedy.
So let's talk about this. Where are you going to be tomorrow?
At a crazy place called the Grizzly Pear, believe it or not. There are 2 of them. The Grizzly Pear is a comedy club on West 54th Street, 243 West 54th.
In New York City,
Yeah,
obviously,
and
for people living
there's a comic named Robert Puncher, and he's a counselor. Aside from being a comedian, he's a mental health counselor, and he knew of my background because I spent 20 years on the board of the Association for Spirituality and Psychotherapy. And he contacted me and asked if I would be part of this comedy show. There's a guy named Brad Richards, and I have to read what he does because he's a psychiatric behavioral interventionist.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's why I had to write it down. It's a complicated title, but he works with adults who have autism and severe mental problems. And he's got this big company. They do shows all over the country combining mental health information and comedy.
So what's your role? So you're going to be performing and then you're going to be participating in a panel?
Doing a panel talking about my particular topic is going to be transformative thinking because I'm fascinated by I do a talk called Don't Believe Your Thoughts, which can sound strange to people because who else's thoughts can you believe but your own, right? But my conceit, my premise is that we're all holding thoughts that are not valid for us. In my case, it's what caused me to stutter for so many years. I had such a bad stuttering problem from the time I was 6 or 7 through my 20s and beyond. I was holding thoughts that told me I needed to develop a disability. And as you can see, not only don't I stutter anymore, you can't even shut me up. Yeah. I have a lot to say. But I'll be talking about thought and how to change your thinking.
So this show in New York City on West 54th Street tomorrow, is that something that anybody can go to? Or how does that?
You can go to the Grizzly Pear website. There's a link. There are 2 grizzly pears. This is the one.
Obviously, there's a pair of grizzly pears.
Right. This one is on West 54th Street. It's Grizzly Pear Midtown. The panel is from 3 to 5, and then there's a mixer with food and drinks, and then the show from 7:30 to 9, and it's only $20.
Wow, that's
so
actually
if people want to
deal.
come and say hi, that would be great to meet some listeners.
Absolutely,
and I'll be there doing both. I'm on the panel, and I'll also be on the comedy show.
So now, when you say that's tomorrow, just for clarity's sake,
Monday.
Oh, Monday. So
Monday
it's today,
the 16th.
technically.
It's actually
gotcha.
I still can't get that.
Nobody can.
I still think
Nobody
it's Sunday night.
Gotcha.
You know
I
what
gotcha.
I mean? It's Monday morning. And
this is the bewitching hour. People get trapped on that. All right, so that's this afternoon and this evening. People should definitely check that out. The Grizzly Pear. Don't be confused because there are a pair of grizzly pears. So
I've actually gotten tickets because I couldn't figure out that when they say don't park at certain times and like after midnight it becomes the next day. I park in the wrong place and I can't. That's my mental health problem.
Right.
I can't process that.
It's interesting that you're doing a show right around Christmas time dealing with mental health because one of the recurring news stories that people see every year, and I don't think this is just media hype, unlike a lot of other things, I think there really is an uptick in things like depression, anxiety, overall a sense of sadness. Sometimes they call it seasonal affective disorder. I'm sure you've observed this over the years, right around this time of year.
Not only have I observed it, I had it. I had seasonal affective disorder for many years. When winter came, and especially when they changed the clocks, this daylight savings time, they got to get rid of that, Frank. They must get rid of it. I think it came in World War II, and it's not necessary anymore. People have to get up in the dark.
It's crazy.
Kids have to go
it's
to school in the dark.
Existence.
Horrible. They got rid of it
if
1
Trump
year.
can kill this off, he'll go down in history as the best president ever.
Right. He's the greatest hero because it's such a horrible thing. I don't know who wants that. I think it used to be to save fuel or whatever, but we're going to have plenty of fuel.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about it.
It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
But I forgot what you asked me.
No, my question was about... Well, all right, so let's talk about daylight saving time in a second. I'll come back to seasonal affective disorder.
Oh, that's what I have. I was so sad.
Yeah.
I was very depressed in the winter until I learned to change my thought. See, I'm all about learning to think differently. We all know our own thoughts. And if your thoughts are not working for you, then it means you need new thoughts. Where do you get those thoughts? A lot of times it's spiritual wisdom. And spiritual wisdom is very different than religion. And I always state that because all spirituality asks is that you believe in a force greater than yourself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You could call it nature, the universe, God, whatever you want. Because if you think it's you that's ruling everything in your life, then you tend to blame yourself when things don't go the way you would like them to. I don't even say when things go wrong, because I've learned that sometimes things that happen in my life that I thought were bad turned out to be something good in the future.
If people are just tuning in, my guest is Jeffrey Gurian. You can learn more about him by going to comedymatterstv.com. There's books on there. There's photos on there. There's videos on there. It's your overall portal to all the Church of Gurianism. There's a lot of great stuff. They could use maybe a little more dentistry stuff on there, but everything else is right on comedymatterstv.com. I like having you on an hour later than we normally do because I feel like you're a little more wild. You're a little less buttoned up than we normally have you in the first hour.
Well,
when you're
it's
on the
December,
program.
and I'm in a good mood. And, but dealing with that SAD thing,
Yeah.
I started to realize that when I don't like the winter, I'm wishing time away, and time is too precious. If I'm not liking 4 months out of the year, I'm doing a disservice to myself. So I flipped the thought, and now I like the winter. So I dress warmer. I don't like being cold. Cold is horrible to me. Cold is sadness. When it gets dark at 4:30, I don't want to go out.
Well, so give some strategies for that. So my wife and I were just talking about this because she finishes her workday around 5, and she was just lamenting to me the other day. It used to be during, May and June during the summer, I felt like the day was just beginning when my workday ended. I could, sit outside with the neighbors. I could take Carmine to the playground. Now, when it's 5:15 and it's pitch black,
Yeah, it's horrible.
you don't feel like there's much to do at all. I don't even want to go out and do the errands that I have to do.
Right.
How do you, not just Rachel, because I think a lot of people are probably dealing with this same
There's
thing.
no question about it.
How do you, it sounds great to say, I'm going to decide to like the winter. But when you're used to sunlight at 5:30 in the afternoon and now you're dealing with pitch black, how do you mentally, adjust with
It's a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight. Words are just words, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
It's until you internalize them in your heart. When you first hear something that makes sense to you, you learn it in your head intellectually. But it takes a lot of time until you internalize that information. Until the time it travels from your head to your heart is a different length trip for each person. So my first thought was, I'm wasting my time hating the winter. I'm not going to change it. It's still going to be winter. It's going to be cold. I can either be miserable or I can shift my consciousness and choose to be happy. So first you start acting as if. If you ever heard that term,
Sure.
you act as if. If you're sad, you act as if you are happy. And eventually you'll start to feel that way. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between fact and fiction, and I find that very interesting. It believes what you tell it. If you tell your subconscious mind that you're a loser and you go through life like that, that's what you manifest. You draw that into your life. If you go through life telling yourself that you're a winner, then you draw that into your life. And that's the essence behind the happiness books that I write.
I love that. And people could check them out either on Amazon or at comedymatterstv.com. And if people want to see Jeffrey live and in person this afternoon, they can catch him at one of the 2 Grizzly Pear locations in New York, the one in Midtown, this one on 54th Street. Jeffrey, just lastly on the daylight saving time discussion, most people that I talk to agree that it's absurd to spring ahead, fall back, to do this ridiculous changing the clock forward, changing the clock backwards. Where the difference tends to be is people that want to lock the clock at permanent standard time or permanent daylight saving time. Now, 2 states, I believe it's Arizona and Hawaii, they do permanent standard time.
Where it stays light out late, right?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what part of the country you're in. But Trump and I think Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they're talking about permanent standard time as opposed to permanent daylight saving time. Do you have a preference of permanent standard or permanent daylight saving?
I don't know the difference. Well, all I want to know is that it stays light out late. When I was in Europe, it was light out till 9, 10 o'clock. It was like a whole new life. I couldn't believe it. You walk outside 9 o'clock, it's light out. The sun is out. It's an amazing thing. It's a great feeling. And that's what it should be. I don't think it could stay out that late. But during the summer, it's light out till 8:30.
Well,
whatever that is, if that is that standard, then we could do that.
The issue is, there's only a finite amount of daylight, right? So if we take from here, it does come
It's
from
gotta
there,
go somewhere,
right?
right?
So the people that want it lighter out later in the day, basically, you do have a situation where children are going to school, at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
In the dark.
In the dark.
In the
right.
dark.
Well, but I don't know, like how it works in places like Sweden where it's light out for 6 months. I don't know if that's Sweden.
Right.
Someplace.
Alaska. We have a lot of
Alaska,
listeners.
right,
A gentleman, Bill, if he wants to call back, Bill in Alaska was just calling in a minute ago. They have that where it's dark for 6 months and then it's light for 6 months. But
all I know is it should be light when you get up in the morning, and it should be light at night till at least 7, 8 o'clock at night. It's just bad for people's moods, especially in December. Holiday time, supposed to be happy, and a lot of people feel a lot of stress this month.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
And I'm sure that's why they're doing this show on mental health in December.
No doubt about it. If people want to comment, you can certainly do so. 646-720-0635. My guest is Jeffrey Gurian. 646-720-0635. He's performing this afternoon, and it sounds like it's not just a performance. It sounds like it's a kind of a 3-for-1 kind of a deal. You get a performance, you get to go to a mixer, with some interesting people,
Food
and then
drinks.
a panel discussion, all for $20, which is not too bad. Not too bad.
And
all right.
you know what? I just want to say quickly that
By the way,
article.
my friend Diane listening in Budapest says when you own a mink coat, you love winter. Maybe that's your problem. Maybe people need more mink coats.
By the way, have you heard people pronounce it Budapest? It's so obnoxious.
No,
when
I
people
haven't.
say that. Yeah.
I love that.
A lot. They say Budapest.
You know how much I enjoy being pretentious. I may have to adopt that.
That's the word I was trying
like
to
that.
think of, pretentious.
All right, stand by on that front, Jeffrey. We're going to continue with you in a second. We'll look for other pretentious pronunciations of words in a moment. 646-720-0635. This is The Other Side of Midnight. Straight ahead.
The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano.
ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan & Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan & Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
id Software presents Doom, The Dark Ages. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Rated M for mature.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
It's The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano.
Yes, jump around. You know hear that song on the radio, that means Jeffrey Gurian is not far behind. Stand-up comic, producer, author, screenwriter, you name it, and of course, dentist. A couple of people writing in over the last 20 minutes asking if he can get a discount on teeth whitening. We will find out if that can be done. We'll see. Jeffrey Gurian, how did you come to be associated with this song again?
When I was on Sirius XM, I was a regular on Sirius XM for a couple of years with Ron Bennington, and that was the song that they played on for me because I jump around because I was at. I'm also a comedy journalist that I've been covering the comedy scene since 1999, and I go to many clubs every night. So I jump around, and that became my theme song.
I think that it certainly suits you, Jeffrey. I don't know if mass hysteria is the right word, but it does seem like the people in New Jersey are suffering from a mass mild annoyance with all of the drones that are hanging out in the night sky. What can you tell us about these drones, Jeffrey? I mean, they're aliens, aren't they?
I would assume so. But, I mean, listen, seriously, wouldn't you think that they could just send a jet up and see what they are?
Yes!
We have an Air Force. You put a jet up in the sky like you would do with any kind of an intruder. What kind of a government says we don't know what they are? This is impossible. And you know what? There's a lot of theories, and I want to talk about the traffic, too, in Manhattan. There's something going on in Manhattan that there's traffic from morning to night, nonstop on every avenue and every side street. And I've asked the traffic department, I asked these traffic cops, whose job seems to be just to stand there and in the cold. Maybe they're frozen and they can't talk. Nobody knows why there's traffic. I even asked an NYPD cop. The cops are so great. I love the cops, by the way.
Right, absolutely.
They don't know why there's traffic either. And I think it's so that they can prove that we need congestion pricing. I think it's being manipulated because it's ridiculous. The traffic starts early in the morning. I look out, I'm on 2nd Avenue, all the way down 2nd Avenue. And when I drive, it took me 45 minutes to get from 54th Street to 4th Street. It could take an hour to drive across town. There's something going on.
I am not looking forward to that. Absolutely. All right. Jeffrey, the lovely Danielle in Brooklyn is asking if you can repeat the times of this show because she says she looked online about getting tickets and she said she saw 7:30 p.m., but she said that she thought you heard that it was going to be earlier. Can you clarify?
Well, I was told that the panel is from 3 to 5. Mm-hmm. That's when I'm supposed to get there. The panel's 3 to 5. Then there's a mixer from 5 to 7:30. And then the comedy show from 7:30 to 9.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the order. But on the website, it's confusing. And I wrote to them tonight, but it was late. I didn't hear back from them. The website says that the panel is after the comedy show. The email that I got from the producer said the panel is 3 to 5.
Yeah, what I would encourage Danielle is just to show up at 3 o'clock and refuse to leave, no matter what. No matter what, just refuse to leave.
It's a fun. They have great food and drinks, and you can hang out. But I'm sure that that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, well, and you're out of luck because Danielle has said she prefers tall men. So we're both out of luck on that one. All right. A lot of people very eager to talk with you. 646-720-0635. 646-720-0635. Just to button up the subject of depression for a second. You were mentioning something, when we were at the break a minute ago.
Yeah, a study was done that says the rate of depression has reached an all-time high in the United States. Nearly 30% of adults say they've been diagnosed with depression at one point. Not only that, our kids are being diagnosed with ADHD at a higher level than ever before. And 77% of Americans are engaging in addictive behavior.
Do you think
77%?
I am not surprised by that. Yeah. I feel like half of everybody I know is on something. Do you think the ADHD prevalence is a result of overdiagnosis?
You know what? I've been diagnosed. I battle it on a daily basis. And one of the things that I do is I confront my uncomfortability. I try to do everything that makes me uncomfortable because so many things make me uncomfortable. And I always use the extreme example. Traveling makes me very nervous because my ADHD gets me lost all the time. I went to Japan all alone in 2019. It was my biggest challenge to travel on a 14-hour trip. And I get nervous about getting lost. I was lost every single day in Japan, but I proved to myself that I could do it because I never let uncomfortability stop me.
That's outstanding. I love that. All right, at 30 minutes after the hour, this is The Other Side of Midnight. My guest is Jeffrey Gurian. Let's say hello to Joe in Queens. Hi, Joe.
Yeah, how you doing, Jeff? I was thinking when I was on a plane to Peru, I had 4 people with me. I was still nervous. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I was like, "What's this place going to be all about?"
Mm-hmm.
And I had a great. I adjusted once I was there, but I was nervous, thinking of, when I landed, am I going to get shot or something like that? But I was reading this book, that famous book, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, and in the middle of the book, he talks about the illusion of validity. And he coined the phrase because he did these psychological predictive tests that didn't really work when he was he was working for the Israeli army and trying to basically place people partly based on these tests. And they turned out not to really be valid. So he talks about something where situations do have low validity, and you really just have to see them as having low validity. And that's like a major mistake that people make. That they think they don't realize, hey, the situation doesn't have much validity to it. I can't really predict or do probabilistic things on this, and I have to just accept that there's not much validity to this. And I was thinking it could be like a date. People brush off someone, I don't like their hair. That's it's a low validity situation. You really don't know the person, and you come up with stupid reasons to brush them off.
Well, the word that you used is the word that I use a lot, validity, that a lot of our thoughts are not valid. And it affects, when you're holding non-valid thoughts, it affects your self-esteem and your self-confidence, and it affects every decision you make in your life, because every time you're called upon to make a decision, you think about what to do. You use your thoughts. And if your thoughts are not good, your decisions are not going to work out for you, which is why you'll see the same patterns of the same bad job over and over again, the same bad relationship over and over again. And it's because the thoughts you're holding are not valid. So that's a very good word to use.
Joe, thank you. Great call. Appreciate that. 646-720-0635. Jeffrey, you have had a long and illustrious career as a dentist. You don't see patients anymore, though, right?
No, not for a long time. But you know what? I lecture. My happiness books have allowed me to become a motivational speaker. And I speak at dental conferences. This is a fairly new thing. In July, they flew me out to Minneapolis, to the Minneapolis Convention Center.
Where we're heard right now on WCCO. A lot of great folks there.
And I had an amazing time. And the topic they gave me was how to survive a career in dentistry using positive thinking and humor. Because dentistry is one of the most stressful careers that you can be in. And they say it has the highest rate of suicide and the highest rate of divorce. I did the divorce. I'm trying to put off the suicide. Why is that?
Yeah, with that kind of access to laughing gas, I wouldn't think everybody would be so depressed.
Well, no, you know why? Because generations of patients have been ruined by dentists working on children who had no business working on children. Once you experience pain, it ruins you as a patient. You know, one of the goals of my practice was to give painless injections. And a lot of people don't realize the importance of that. If people would say to me, "Are you going to give me an injection?" And I said, "I already did." And when you can do that, it makes patients comfortable and they're relaxed for the whole visit. If you hurt somebody with an injection, they're nervous for the rest of the visit. You can't really, it's hard to calm them down. They're expecting more pain. And so I used to leave the topical anesthetic in for at least 5 minutes. A lot of dentists just swab it on for 30 seconds, and then they give you the needle, and they don't care if you feel the needle as long as you don't feel the drilling or whatever else they're doing.
Right.
My concept is I don't want you to feel the needle at all.
If folks are just tuning in, this is The Other Side of Midnight. I'm Frank Morano. My guest in studio is Jeffrey Gurian. When you were seeing patients more regularly, did you ever see patients in your house?
No, I never saw patients in my head.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Well,
but there was
all evidence to the contrary.
There was an article in the paper a couple of days ago that belongs in my book, Man Robs Bank with His Chin. A 70-year-old woman set up a dental office in her kitchen. And
now, this is not a joke.
This is not a joke. And people actually came to her. A woman had 5 teeth extracted in her kitchen. She was coming to this woman for 5 months trying to get, and then the supposed dentist told her that she needed a bridge. I don't know what she took impressions with, like a piece of bread or something. And needless to say, the bridge didn't fit. I'm wondering what she used for anesthetic. Did she actually give people injections? This is crazy. A 70-year-old woman. So thank God she got arrested. But can you imagine how gullible people are, that you go and sit in someone's kitchen? How'd she take x-rays?
I'd love to know what the waiting area was, her bedroom, you know.
Sitting in a chair in someone's kitchen and allowing them to pull 5 of your teeth? Are you kidding me? And it said they found boxes of used needles, you know. Oh, and it's funny because when reporters write the story, they don't have dental knowledge. So they write ridiculous things like they were filing down the impressions, which means nothing. You can't file an impression. An impression is what you take of people's teeth. You can file down the teeth, but you can't file down the impressions.
All right. Well, so needless to say, you'd suggest if someone's seeing a dentist and the appointment is in their kitchen find a new dentist. Yeah.
Cancel the appointment.
Even if your insurance covers that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Even if your
All
insurance
right.
covers it.
646-720-0635. Bill is in Alaska listening on KBYR. Hey there, Bill.
Hey, guys. How's it going tonight?
Great.
Great.
It's nice
Having
and
a
dark,
blast.
which I'm hearing is what Alaska is like most of the time.
Well, Alaska right now, it's dark out there. The sun comes up at like 11:30 in the morning, and it goes down at 2 in the afternoon. So you get
That's only
at
at certain times of the year, though, right?
Yeah, basically, December 21st is the winter solstice. That's the shortest time of the year. Then you can just start adding a couple minutes of daylight every single day until you get to June 21st, which is the longest day of the year. And that day, the sun never goes down.
Mm.
We put aluminum foil on the windows to go to sleep.
Mm.
But
couldn't you get blackout curtains, Bill?
You're right, aluminum foil.
It does seem... I'm not joking.
It's an odd choice, for
Yeah.
sure. Aluminum foil.
Yeah, well,
right?
at
And
least
then afterwards you can make it into a ball.
Exactly.
Right?
That's right. We use it as a television antenna.
No, but Bill, serious question. Based on what Jeffrey was saying, when it is the state of nonstop darkness, do you find that depressing?
Oh, absolutely.
You do?
Everybody up here does. They get what it's called cabin fever, and there'll always be just one nut job out there. One year is a guy throwing acid on women.
That sounds like New York.
I go to the tanning booth.
Every day in New York.
Oh, you go to the tanning booth, huh?
A lot of people go to the tanning booth, yeah. And then we have these really cool showers with those red lamps in them.
Oh. Yeah, I've seen those before. That is interesting. Bill, thank you. I appreciate the insight. And if you come visit the continental United States, do pay us a visit. All right, Bill?
Okay, let's go Blues.
Amen. There you go. Thanks, Bill.
It's so cool that your show is heard all over. Are you in Oregon?
We have listeners in Oregon.
Good, because I just got asked to be the keynote speaker in Oregon coming up in April.
Well,
and I've never been there, and I'm excited to go.
Trust me, after they hear this appearance, they're going to withdraw that invitation. All right, 646-720-0635. But in all seriousness, that is a real story of this 70-year-old woman who was doing dentistry in her kitchen. And if you're asked to do that, to go to a dentist in their kitchen, I would say find a referral to, I don't know, someone that at least is in a broom closet or something. Jeffrey, an interesting thing happened a couple of days ago. It was the first time that there was a high-profile celebrity who passed away, in this case, the amazing Kreskin, where I didn't see any article about you knowing them in page 6. How could that be? Did the newspaper person forget to deliver that edition?
They actually put my picture up on page 6 recently, a couple of weeks ago about the Gilbert Gottfried tribute.
I saw that. Yeah,
which was really nice. It was I've been in it over 50 times. It was a great honor. I've been reading the New York Post since I'm a kid. I used to wish that I would be in it, and that was my dream when Earl Wilson was doing the column. I don't know if you remember those days, but I had met Kreskin a couple of times at the Friars Club. He used to come in to do different events. What a nice man. Just a great guy. But I want to take a minute to congratulate you on your award tonight. I've been wanting to say that the whole time I'm in.
Please be my guest. Go ahead.
The Italian American Civil Rights League gave you. What was the name of the award, though? What did they give you?
I have to look. They gave me a plaque. I'll show it to you. I'll grab it during the commercial.
Not like dental plaque, like a real plaque, right? A real plaque.
Yeah.
Right?
I got something for the wall. At the very least, I could always use a paperweight or something. I'll throw it on there. No, that was very nice. I was very honored, and it was a really nice group of people. I am really
mostly Italian, I assume. Right?
I would say it was 80% Italian. I mean, and you know what it was? A couple of people you'd meet, and the fellow would say, "Oh, hi, I'm Luke." And they feel the need to tell you if they're not Italian, right? They say, I don't want to say anything, but I'm not sure I'm supposed to be here. I'm Italian. No, you can, if you believe in civil rights,
if you know the password, you're allowed in. That's it.
It was a wonderful event.
Are you aware of a Broadway show that was called Six Goombas and a Wannabe? No. Well, I was the original wannabe.
The cast of this was at this event that I was at last.
I was the original wannabe. It was written by a man named Vince Gagliarmello, who was the nephew of the famous Italian actor Vincent Gardenia.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes. And when they originally did it, I was the wannabe.
That's
but when it went to Broadway, they replaced me with somebody else. But I didn't know if you knew that trivia.
No, I did not know
trivia.
that. That's great. I missed that one. That escaped my radar screen. But that is that's good to know. But I appreciate you saying that. That's very nice. Ironically enough, it was about a week ago, 32 years ago, that Vincent Gardenia passed away. So
was it that long ago already? Wow.
Yeah, 32
He used to come to the Friars a lot. Yeah, to the roast.
Great
he
actor.
was a wonderful guy.
Great actor from actually Italy, not Campania, I think. All right. 646-720-0635. Chris is in the Catskills. Hello there, Chris.
Good morning, gentlemen. Just real quick on the daylight saving, I think there's definitely a connection with depression and less serotonin being produced with the lower amount of sunlight. And there is a component to it, though, that I've noticed where there's a safety component. The times of the year with the angle of the sun during your peak hours when you would drive to work, if people are 8 to 5ers with their work shift, and when you're coming home from work, the sun is blaring in drivers' eyes at a very dangerous angle.
Yes.
Right before the daylight savings time changes. And then once it changes, then that extra shift in the hour makes driving much safer because the angle of the sun is not glaring in your eyes. So there is that component of it that I've noticed before, just paying attention to little nuances in life myself.
There you go. Any reaction, Jeffrey?
Well, I had that recently happen, that I've been driving and I didn't understand why. That the glare was so bad, I had to use that shield in the car, that sun shield.
Oh, yeah.
The visor that comes down. Most people, I bet, don't even use those visors. But I had to use that, and I was wondering why that's happening. I don't remember that happening so much in the past, but literally blinding.
Yeah, no, it's bad news. Chris, thank you. 646-720-0635. I didn't have a chance to ask you about this United Healthcare CEO being killed, unfortunately. Very, very sad news. And clearly, there was a troubled young man that appears to be responsible. Some people are trying to draw a connection between his back pain, his back problems, and back surgery, and what ultimately happened, this breakdown that he suffered. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. I just think it's weird that there are people that are looking at him as a hero.
Right, you're not contributing to his legal defense fund anytime
soon. No, not at all. There's something wrong with our society that they look, and I think it has a lot to do with people being anonymous on social media.
Right.
There are people who feel that they can put up their innermost sick thoughts and no one will know who they are. There's a way to find out. I'm sure the government supposedly can tell who certain people are. But I think that social media is very damaging in a lot of ways. That brings out people's inner sickness to think that there's something good about a guy who would kill somebody like that on the street. I don't care what the guy did. There are people who deserve to be punished that are not punished.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I completely agree with you on that
I'm
one.
a big law and order guy. I thank every cop I see.
646-720-0635, except for the ones that are not giving you answers on
Right.
traffic
They
congestion.
don't know. That's it.
Yeah.
They don't know.
All right. They don't
would
know.
tell me if they knew.
They don't know, like Admiral Kirby doesn't know what these drones are over New
exactly,
Jersey.
Exactly.
All right. The aforementioned Danielle in Brooklyn has a comment. Hello there, Danielle.
Oh, hey. I wanted to know what he meant by thoughts that are valid. Like, what thoughts would you consider to be valid or invalid?
If you're holding negative thoughts about yourself, if there's something about you that's telling yourself that you're not enough, that you'll never be successful, negative thoughts that hold you back from achieving your goals, very often given to us by people who did not have our best interests at heart. Sometimes even from our own families. A lot of people didn't get support from their parents growing up. They weren't told that what they had to say was important. They were made to feel less than. And you carry that into adulthood, and you're carrying thoughts that are not valid for you because you're a good person and you have opportunities. I love people that overcome obstacles. Everybody is given an obstacle, and it can either crush you or you can find the strength to overcome it.
Rise above it.
So when you're allowing yourself to be ruled by these negative thoughts, those are the thoughts that I say they're not valid for you.
Jeffrey, do you think there could be any connection with, something that Danielle's mother might have been saying or not saying to her as a child with her current obsession with dating tall men? I mean, it does seem a little...
Nothing to do with it.
Well, I'm asking a professional here, Danielle.
Everybody has their own taste.
Indeed.
That's
All right, Danielle. Well,
everybody's entitled to their preferences.
No, it doesn't matter. But like how tall you are. But as far as seasonal affective disorder as well, like there's been studies done where people have an increase in heart attacks too, and automobile accidents because they end up falling asleep due to losing that hour when we spring ahead.
No question about
Look,
it. That
a
is
lot
for
of
real.
people live in dark apartments and they wonder why they're sad. When I teach people to create their own happiness center, you surround yourself with light, with brightness. Like in my place, I need light. My carpeting is white. My piano is white. My furniture, everything is bright and happy looking.
Yeah,
Because
like
once you leave the house, you have no control over what happens to you. So you have
I go to the tanning. Oh, sorry.
So you have to control your own environment, whether it's one room or a mansion. It doesn't matter. You should surround yourself with things that make you happy and brightness. Lots of
Totally.
light. Lots of light.
I go to the tanning salon during the winter a lot because like that light helps keep me sane. Because not having the sunlight, it really does like affect your mood.
I went to the tanning salon too, and I wound up with 2 Mohs surgeries for skin cancer.
Oh boy!
So,
oh goodness!
Really?
Well, there you go, Danielle. Now that we've got you
have
thinking,
artificial light too.
Anything. Well, anything that makes you look better. I used to love getting tan, but I don't have the genetics for it.
Danielle, thank you. Well, enjoy the show today if you end up seeing Jeffrey.
Come and say hi.
Yeah, no, definitely. And any of the other fellas that are interested in meeting Danielle, make sure you're wearing lifts on your shoes. All right, 646-720-0635. Jeffrey Gurian is here. We'll continue straight ahead.
The Other Side of Midnight.
This episode is brought to you by Principles. Ray Dalio, legendary investor and New York Times best-selling author, wants to pass along his understanding of how countries go broke because he believes the U.S. budget and debt situation needs to be addressed. To give you that knowledge, he has put the draft of his book, How Countries Go Broke, The Big Cycle, online for free. It's available now at economicprinciples.org.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, streaming now only on Netflix.
We off? 30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes.
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree.
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet.
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
Lights, camera, innovation. Walt Disney Studios chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform the movie-making process. Together, we kept a remote production hub in Hawaii and sync with a team in California to bring Lilo and Stitch to theaters this summer. This is picture-perfect collaboration. This is Walt Disney Studios with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
It's The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano.
We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I.
9 minutes till the top of the hour. I know a lot of you were expecting Elton John, but you have been rickrolled. How do you like that? That's right. Never going to give you up. This is a birthday bumper music selection by Lori Bambina, who is celebrating her birthday today. And we're smiling because Jeffrey Gurian is in studio. If you were saying to yourself, at least if you're in the New York area, I only wish I had more of a chance to see Jeffrey Gurian, today is your lucky day, because you get to do that today at the Grizzly Pear, and that may happen at 7:30 or at 3 o'clock or at 5 o'clock. The best thing you can do is go there at 3 o'clock on West 54th Street and just camp out there, refuse to leave. And the person looking up for tall people, that will be Danielle. All right. Jeffrey, a lot of people very eager to say hello to you. You know what I meant to ask you? What's going on with that film that you were telling us you were writing with Noel Ashman? Anything become of that?
It's in pre-production still. You know what? We should get Noel on the phone, and he's probably up right now.
Oh,
This is
just the beginning of his day.
Yeah,
that's
Noel
for sure.
Ashman has produced about 18 films, and you know, I wrote 2 films that he's producing. One is a romantic comedy called Baby and Max, about a very unlikely couple, and the other one is my only non-comedy project, a gangster film called Men of Violence, which I don't even like that I wrote it. It's kind of like a Pulp Fiction thing. The violence is real, the comedy is real, because you have to really stay true. If not, it's not believable. But there's so much violence in the world that I don't really want to put it out. And I told Noel, he had me meet with some directors, and I said, you know what? I'd rather do the romantic comedy first, because the world needs more laughter. There's plenty of violence around.
This is true. All right, Mickey is in Brooklyn. Hello, Mickey.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Good.
And I'd just like to say I really appreciate this. Frankie, you're unbelievable, man.
Thank you.
You're just great. And Jeff, I was just wanted to say, you mentioned the 12-step program, and also there's some beautiful affirmations like trace it, face it, and erase it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of that one?
I haven't, but there's so much wisdom. There's so many.
Oh, wisdom. Forget it. Wisdom. And you were talking about the dentist, that you went to the dentist. Oh, geez. The first time I went to a dentist, he said, you got a cavity. I said, okay, take care of it. And he started drilling and drilling and drilling and drilling. And I said, well, where is the cavity? But there's just one there now.
Amazing.
After he drilled his way to heaven. But
Well, that's why a lot of adults are afraid to go to the dentist. It's usually very often something that happened when we're children.
It
not
wasn't
as an adult.
It wasn't the lady in her kitchen, right, that you went to, Mickey? Thank you, Mickey. Good luck with everything. Hey,
she worked with a spoon.
Jeffrey, a serious question. There's now been a renewed discussion about fluoride in the water, and you know what I didn't notice? My wife, she grew up on Long Island, as did all 8 of her siblings. And Long Island apparently does not put fluoride in the water. Where I grew up...
I didn't know that. Long Island didn't do that. I thought the whole country does it.
So where I grew up in New York City, they do. And I had, I think, 0 cavities growing up. Maybe I had 1. My wife's siblings, they all had more cavities. As a dentist... or at least, somebody with a significant degree of expertise in dentistry. Do you have a preference on the fluoride in the water or out of the water?
Well, it's been my experience that fluoride makes the enamel harder.
Mm-hmm.
They say that they don't use it in England, but English people are known for having horrible teeth.
All right.
So, and I hope you don't have any listeners in England that are being offended by that. But it's just true, I heard today that there are 10,000 things in our food that don't belong there. That RFK Jr. is going to eliminate a lot of the stuff that's in our food, a lot of the dyes that cause people to get sick. It's interesting. I tried to stop eating processed food. I used to buy, when you cook for yourself, very often you buy these products that are dinners in a box. Right? And they probably have so many processed chemicals in them, so many things to keep them from going stale. What kind of preservative? That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, preservatives. And they're probably not healthy for us. So I stopped eating those. You know what? I make turkey burgers. I take ground turkey and I make fresh turkey burgers, and that's what I eat, like a lunatic. I eat the same thing all the time.
Well, Japan, for instance, does not fluoridate their water.
Yeah, but they don't have great teeth either.
They don't. That's what I was just going to ask you about your experience there. Did you notice
horrible, pretty girls, terrible teeth?
Unbelievable. Yeah, what's the point? 646-720-0635. Joe is in North Jersey. Hi, Joe.
Yes, good evening. Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Love your show.
Thank you.
Mr. Gurian, you
Dr.
mentioned another comedian friend of yours who had a hard 3 words title, which I couldn't catch the first time you said it. And I'd like to know his name. He has a specific type of treatment for ADHD people, etc.
Was that the forensic psychiatrist?
A comedian?
No, Matt Richards.
Brad Richards. Brad Richards is the one who's producing the show tomorrow. His company is behind it. Supposedly does them all over the country.
Matt Richards, could you repeat that?
Brad, B-R-A-D.
Brad
Richards has a
and
company.
What was his,
He's a psychiatric behavioral interventionist.
Yeah. By the way, I want to be clear. I'm not vouching for any of Brad's psychiatric behavioral interventions.
Right. He's just the guy who's producing.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
show.
Okay. Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah. See Brad at your own risk. For all
he's not
I know.
a comedian, by the way.
He could be doing these behavioral interventions in his kitchen. For all I know, that's the last thing
with a spoon
we need. All right. Before we get out of here, Gene in the Boogie Down Bronx has been patiently holding. Hi, Gene.
Hello, Frank. Good evening, Mr. Gurian.
Good evening,
Dr. Gurian. I think Mr. Gurian is very, very funny. I think he's a very successful comedian. I just wanted to mention my older brother, his name was Mickey Marvin. He played the Borscht Belt. I don't know if Brad...
I knew Mickey Marvin.
Yeah, that was my brother.
That's so great. He was a good man.
Did he have to say anything about Gene when you got to know him at all, Jeffrey?
No, I don't remember him saying anything about it.
In Gene?
No, but I remember the name Mickey Marvin, sure.
Yeah, he passed away. The guy that got him into the business was Corbett Monica.
Oh, I knew Corbett Monica, too. Well, I got to meet all the greats from those days, Joey Adams and... Milton Berle was my sponsor in the Friars Club, and Henny Youngman and Sid Caesar. I got to know all those guys. Red Buttons.
Yeah, my brother passed away. His wife passed away. He got sick. He couldn't work anymore. But I'll tell you, if he was alive today, he'd love to speak to you. I think you have a tremendous potential.
Thank you,
so
Gene.
much.
Sorry about your brother and your sister-in-law passing away. Jeffrey, the hour has just flown by. Let's do this again soon.
As it always does, Frank. Yeah, I'll do it anytime you want. I'm always available for you.
People should check out Jeffrey Gurian, ComedyMattersTV.com. For everyone else, keep asking questions.